Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt, and the P.I.L.L Method Club and the Mortgage Syndicate are joining forces this Sunday morning to get this message out. And we have we have somebody special in the room with us, Alvin Hope Johnson. Alvin, how are you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, Don, good, man. How are you today?
I am excellent. Listen, man, I am so excited about what we're going to be talking about today because, Alvin, we are going to expose where all of this lending idea comes from. We are learning so much about how to get the money. We're learning so much about the laws surrounding the money. We're learning so much about how to prepare to establish ourselves to make us look good to the bank. But what we're not finding out, Alvin, is how did all this get started? What is the history of it? What's the history of mortgages in the United States? And what actually makes a mortgage work? I mean, what you're doing, Alvin, you're doing some great stuff in multi-family building. And there is a process to that, and you're learning that process and you're sharing that process. We want to do the same thing you're doing for multifamily. We want to do that for helping people to understanding leveraging somebody else's money from the ground up, not from the top down. So, Alvin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks this morning?
Sure, I'll tell you, my name's Alvin Johnson, and I'm a developer in Dallas. And Don, yesterday I was doing a Zoom where I was talking about how people can invest their money and do tax and make tax exempt earnings, right? Where the gains are exempt from all income tax.
Wow.
I was looking at my amortization schedule. So when I got done with that, I was looking through my documents that my lender sent me last week for these bonds that we're about to sell. And I was looking at the amortization schedule. You know, we only have two payments a year. Every
Okay.
6 we have a for the first 5 years, we have an interest payment every 6 months because it's interest only. And then after those 5 years, we have two payments a year where on one payment, the first of the year, we have interest and principal. And then the second payment, 6 months later, we have only interest payments. And I was looking at that thing going, okay, for the next, I think it was 15 years, because it was through 2038, we've got 30 payments. And I was really looking at that thing totally different from your eyes now going, what happens if we could save? Then I started looking at my NOI, right? And seeing, okay, if I've got only a payment every 6 months and it's $600,000, how much NOI do I have between those 6 month spans to where I might be able to take and drop an extra 300 or 400,000 principal on this thing and negate quite a bit of payments. I don't know how to read that yet, but I'm gonna send it to you, and we're gonna have some fun with that.
Listen, man, we're going to have an extreme amount of fun with that because people need to know, Alvin, especially if they are in real estate investing and we're leveraging someone else's money, but we spend absolutely no time in understanding the rules of how they're making money. Well, listen, if I know how you're making it and it's math, if I reverse engineer the math, I can save money without risking a dime of the monies that I've earmarked for reinvesting. You see, folks, you don't need more money to get out of debt. You don't need more money to manage debt. What you need is to pay less interest, and they give us the rules. We just don't know what they are. And we're going to do something about that. So, Alvin, when you were going through that, are you now beginning to look at your deals a little bit differently? Are you looking at interest paid as an expense now?
Well, it absolutely is an expense. It is an expense. And Don, the sad part, right? The sad
The sad part.
is that I'm 58, and they structure these deals for 30 or 35 years for us. And I would really, really wish I had known this, or wish I had practiced what I knew 25 years ago, right? But now the sad part is that um, I don't know how many of these developments that I'm gonna get to see paid off in 15 years, 9 years, or et cetera. Because man, if you can accelerate the payments to where you have none, think about the equity buildup.
That's where we're talking about, Alvin. See, when you're a real estate developer or investor, you don't even have to pay the building off to benefit. You see, when you're borrowing money, folks, we need to understand when you're borrowing money, you're using somebody else's money to purchase your equity in the property. And what you're doing is increasing your equity. Now, Alvin would not be in the deal if it wasn't already making money. Folks, it's already making money. It's making a ton, or he wouldn't be in the deal. But what he's beginning to look at is the back end. What does it cost me to purchase my equity? I'm using somebody else's money. They're renting it to me. And every time I make a move, I'm increasing my equity, either by paying down the loan and or paying attention to what the market says about my properties. You don't have to make money and rely solely on how the market sees your property. You can manipulate your equity acquisition by lowering the amount of interest you pay to get that equity. So, folks, interest is another expense that can be manipulated and lowered. If you lower your expenses, you increase profits, bottom line. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Alvin, you got anything else to add to this conversation?
Not at this time, Don, but I'll be here.
All right, man, let's go ahead and get started. Folks, again, here's what we're going to do. We need for you to understand what's really going on behind the scenes. If you want to come to the stage, please raise your hand. If you want to see what we're doing and any information we put up on the screen, I want you to go to YouTube, search P.I.L.L method, and then you'll be able to see what we're doing as well. You can do that on a tablet or your laptop computer while you're here on Clubhouse listening in. You can also see what we're doing. Folks, start inviting people in. Yolanda, Sales Michigan, has just showed up. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I see Liza, I see Terrell, I see Armin, Yolanda, Andrea, Cheryl, Cheryl, Byron is in here, Cindy's in here, Muhammad is in here. So folks, let's go ahead and get started. How many of you, and I need you to put it in the chat, okay? How many of you have ever been in a room where they're talking about how to level up your personal credit and or business credit? If you've been in a room where they're talking about business credit, go ahead and put in put in a number one. All right. Put in a number one. All right. All right. I see it. Okay. So somebody's asking a question here. How would you earn profit in the country with mortgage rates of 15 to 18% while they turn up of buildings yields 10%? Okay, let's talk about that. All right, so if I understand your question, you're saying if your profit is 10%, if your profit is going to be 10%, but you're paying 15 to 18% interest, how is that making money? Okay, Your profit, that 10% that you're talking about, that 10%, that is compound interest. Compound interest. When you're talking about the 15 to 18%, you're talking about amortized interest. You're talking about two different animals. You cannot compare apples and oranges. Compound interest is not amortized interest. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through a whole history of that. I've got a link that we're going to put on the screen right now. Put it in the chat, and let me see here. I've got to pull that up so that you can start looking at the history. All right. Let's see. We want to copy that link. Copy the link, and then I'm going to put it in the chat. This is a very good history of how mortgages work in this country. Okay. Where did it come from? How did it get started? What happened prior to 1934? Because all of this stuff got started in 1934. And how were people buying properties prior to 1934? And they go through an entire history on this thing, folks. Here is what they're not doing, bringing it up from when it started to the current day. There's so much information on the history. There's not one piece of information teaching us how it works. There's a formula that the bank uses. I'm going to go through some of the history on that this morning, and so that you can understand it from the history point of view. And then we're going to teach you a little bit about how the process actually works, how the bank makes their money. And then when you learn how they do it, you can come up with a strategy not to pay all of that interest. And that's what people need to know. So of all the information you've ever received about credit on this app or on YouTube or on Facebook or from a book that you've read, absolutely zero information is taught to you how the process actually works. None. Zip. Zilch. We're not being taught how the process works. So then if you don't understand the problem, then any solutions that you come up with will not be optimized, will not be optimal, won't be the best solution for you, because we never, fully understood the problem. And here's what the P.I.L.L method has done. P.I.L.L method has come up with answers to a question people haven't even asked yet. That's how powerful this information is. And I need you to go ahead and start sharing it to people right now. So we're going to go into, I'm going to pull up something. We're going to put it on the screen, and we've got to go through the history. So if you have to leave before we get into how it actually works, then make sure you plug into the replay. All right, because this is going to take some time to understand what's really going on behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and get this ready to so you guys can see what is actually happening here on this. And I'm going to get ready to share this screen. Let's see, we want to share the screen, and we're going to go to, all right, we're going to go here. All right. And just so that you know, somebody who asked that question, let me see, was Johanna. All right. I'm going to, first thing that we're going to put on the screen is this. All right. If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see this first. One of the examples I'm going to show is an 18% loan. I had already loaded it in. Oh, Johanna, listen, you want to see what you can do to an 18% loan. But before we even get here, we have to go through the history of how this whole thing got started in the first place, understanding it from the beginning to the end, and how in the world Can we be in a process where we have to use credit cards, car loans, mortgages, investment loans, but we never learn how they actually work, how the bank makes their money, and how we can disrupt their plans so that we can pay less money? No one is talking about that except for right here. The interest cancellation expert. That's what they call me. They call me ICE for short, which means interest cancellation expert, but it also means interest cancellation eliminates extra cost so you can improve profits. We're going to talk about that today. So let's go ahead and get I'm pulling up my presentation. So you want to be able to see it on, let me see here. Let me move this over to here and let me see what screen this comes up on. All right. And I think that's the right screen. So let me stop this right now and pull this over here. Okay. So I can see what's going on. And there we go. All right, folks, here's where we're starting. How to pay off mortgages in 7 years. We're going to go through some history, but I also need you, if you're watching online, there's a link there that will tell you the complete history. All right. But we're going to get into this just a little bit this morning. All right. So here we go. All right. Let me see here. Let me move over to here. All right. The first thing we're going to show is my book. Now, why is that important? It is important because out of 33 million titles on Amazon, you will not find one single book that explains how an amortization schedule actually works. They will explain amortization schedules. They will explain what they do, but you will not find a book that explains how it works and how to defeat that system. There's only one book that talks about that, and that's this book, The P.I.L.L Method, A Better Way to Eliminate Debt. That's what you want to know this morning, okay? So let's get into this. 90% of the people you know with a mortgage will never own a home free and clear. They will just not do it. They can't do it because of how the system is set up. 90%. Now, I need you to think about that. Just think about it this morning. How many people do you know, have you ever met, that had a mortgage that actually paid it off? It'll be less than 10% of the people you know. And the ones that actually did it are the ones that had the higher interest rates a few years ago, between 8 and 12%. Those are the folks that actually paid off their loans. So some of you have parents and grandparents that paid off a mortgage. And if you ask them, what was the interest rate back then? They will tell you somewhere between 8 and 12%. And when you understand amortization, you'll also find out that it was easier to pay off a loan faster and cheaper at the higher interest rates, not the lower ones, once you understand how this works. Oh, yes. Did I just say that it was, did I make a mistake here? Absolutely not. It is actually cheaper, once you understand how it works, to pay a loan off faster and cheaper at the higher interest rates if you know what to do. So when your parents did it, when your grandparents did it, they did it at the higher interest rates. We're going to get into, in this 2-hour session, we're going to get into how that actually happened. So this is actually a master class on the history of it and how it works. All right. So the next thing you need to know, 30-year loans should pay off in 7 to 9 years. Not just your 30-year loan, but your mortgages, your credit cards, your car loans, your student loans, all of your debt that you have right now, and the average family has about 13 different loans, should be able to pay it off in about 7 years. Yeah, once you understand how it works, because it's the cost of the debt that matters. And we're going to learn how to manipulate that cost so you don't have to pay it. So we have to understand it from the ground up. You will be able to do all of this without refinancing. You don't have to make more money. So you don't have to change your budget that way. You don't have to make more money, and you could do it without sacrificing lifestyle. Meaning you do not have to eat beans and rice to make this work. You don't have to work 3 extra jobs to make this work. You do not have to drive a 30-year-old car and not go on vacation and steal opportunities from your family to enjoy life to make this work. All you need to do is learn how to pay less interest. Anybody want to learn how to pay less interest? Then I need you to put a number 9 in the chat right now. Go ahead and put a number 9 in the chat if you want to learn how to pay less interest. Okay. So here's the other thing that you also need to know. What I'm getting ready to tell you, your accountant does not know. What I'm getting ready to tell you, your financial planner does not know. What I'm getting ready to tell you is that bankers, your bank, people who work in the bank, the people that actually got you your loan, they don't know what I'm getting ready to share with you today. The people who should know don't know because it's not taught. There's a reason why. There's a reason why they don't know. Okay. So here's what you also need to know, folks. You will also not hear what I'm getting ready to teach you from Mr. Ramsey, Ms. Orman, Gene Chatsky, Larry Burkett. You will not get what I'm getting ready to share with you from these people. Not because, and it is not because they're trying to hide something from you. It's only because it was not part of their original financial education. That's why. So, the ability to read and defeat an amortization schedule is not taught at any level of financial education. Not at all. It's not there. It's not part of your education. You guys think about it. We're expected to use these loans, but we didn't get it in grade school. We didn't get it in junior high. We didn't get it in high school. We didn't get it in college. And I don't care what you studied in college, what branch of finances you studied in college, how to understand an amortization schedule and how to defeat it was not part of that education. Interest cancellation was not part of your financial education. We've learned how to pay back loans on time. We have not learned how to cut your interest cost on these loans by 75% or more. 75%. Give you an example. If you're supposed to pay $300,000, you know how much interest you're supposed to pay on your mortgage when you sign it. They tell you. You're supposed to pay us about, let's say you're supposed to pay about $300,000 in interest. They'll tell you at the time you could do biweekly payments. They'll tell you at the time that you could round up your payment. They'll tell you some things that you can do. And the most powerful tool they have that they're talking about is the biweekly payment, which at most can save you 7 years on your loan. See, people say stuff, but they really don't understand where it really comes from. How many of you have heard that if you pay your mortgage twice a month, you can cut your mortgage in half? Okay. Put a number 2 for half. Put a number 2 in the chat if you've heard that. If by making biweekly payments, you can cut your mortgage in half. Of course you've heard it because that's what people say, but it's not true. You go online right now and ask the question, how many years can I cut off my mortgage, my 30-year mortgage, by making biweekly payments? You'll see that it will be between 4.9 and 7 years. The most you can get rid of is 7. So you turn your 30-year loan into a 23-year loan, period. That's the best it can do. What we're talking about, folks, is how in the world can you pay so little interest that you could actually pay it off in 7, and not just your mortgage, your car loan, your student loans, your credit cards, and your mortgage in about 7 years. Once you understand what has been withheld from our financial education, all of this stuff has been withheld from it. Are you ready to get the true education? What you absolutely need to know to understand that there's more to this than meets the eye? What I'm getting ready to share with you is what P.I.L.L method stands for. It stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Once you understand these 4 principles, you now understand the core information so that you can defeat what I'm putting on the screen right now. This is the formula that the banks are now using since 1934 to amortize your loan so that you can have a payment, that you can afford. But it costs so much interest, it's not even funny. I'm not going to go into the math behind all this. I'm just going to tell you that it is so very expensive to purchase it's the most inefficient way on the planet to pay back a loan is to use this formula. It works very well for the banks. It works very poorly for us. If you're new to the room and you want to see this and you want to see what we're talking about, go to Zoom right now. Okay. And you can see, if you search P.I.L.L method, and you can see what we're talking about here. That's the formula that they're using, and how much time is spent in school teaching people how to minimize the damage that this formula does to them. Zero amount of time. How many of you have heard Los talk about credit on Fridays in the mortgage syndicate? How many of you listen? If you've heard Los talk about it, put an L in the chat. Put an L in the chat. And all and all the good information he provides. Put an L in the chat if you've heard Carlos talk about loans and all the good information he provides and the laws that surround it. Okay? A lot of you have heard him. Okay? It says, Jeffrey Rogers says, Los is the GOAT. Okay? Les Martinez says Los. All right? So listen. Also, ask yourself this. Has Los ever explained how a loan actually works? Yes or no? Has he ever gone into understanding the amortization schedule? Has he ever gone into how the bank makes their money and how to defeat it? Yes or no? Has Los ever talked about that? I need to see it. All right. No. Brenda Jackson says no. All right. Because it's not part of our conversation. It's not part of our conversation. How the process works, the education we're getting is how to get into the loan. There's no education on how to get out of the loan. You would think there would be several rooms on how a loan actually works and how to defeat it. You would think there would be several rooms on that on this app, but they're not. Says Jonathan wants to know, where do we see the screen? Jonathan, go to Zoom. Go to P.I.L.L. Find P.I.L.L method, our channel on YouTube. Use a secondary device like a tablet or a laptop. All right, or you can go to Zoom on if you're watching, if you're listening to us on your phone, then, and if you're not at a place where you can get that information, you don't have a laptop, you don't have a tablet handy, then go there on your phone. Leave Clubhouse and go to your YouTube and then find us there. Okay. And if you don't want to do that, if you just want to listen to us on Clubhouse, then you can watch the replay later. All right. So I'm going to go back to see if anybody's raising their hand to see if they want to come to the stage. All right. It's not on Zoom. It's not on Zoom. It's on YouTube. There is no Zoom link. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's where you can see this. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's not on Zoom. All right. And just search for P.I.L.L method, and you'll be able to see what we're doing here. We're broadcasting live right now. All right, Jeffrey. All right. So now, here's what we're talking. Here's where we are now. The algorithm to understand, this is what the bank is using to manufacture these loans. How much interest you pay, the cost of doing business with the banks is controlled by this formula. So, folks, where is your formula? Where's your formula? Come on. Where's your formula to disrupt their formula? Do you have one? Do you have a formula to disrupt their formula? You need one. Here is what banks don't want you to know. This is how we get into where we're going. Now, I need you to understand that here is part of the history. Prior to 1934, okay, prior to 1929, when the stock market crashed, you could get a 3-year loan or a 5-year loan. If you had a mortgage, you had to have 50% down, 50 to 80% down. Okay. And then you paid interest only on the loan. And at the end of the 3 to 5 years, then you would have a balloon payment. Those people who could not pay the balloon payment to pay it off, the bank would then reissue the loan. All right. Again, for another 3 to 5 year term, and then charge you interest only payments again. That's what they did for many years. After 1929 and the stock market crash, when those loans became due at the end of the term, they would no longer recast those loans. So when the only way you could keep your property at the end of the 3 to 5 year term would be to pay the bank all the money you owe them at that one time, period. If you could not do that, you lost your property. Then this is one of the things that led to the Great Depression. In 1934, to get the banks lending again and to put people back to work, FDR, with his New Deal, came to the banks and said, we've got this amortization schedule. You can now lend for 15 and 30 years. We are going to ensure that you're going to make sure you get paid because we're going to set up a federal agency. All right. The Federal Housing Administration, the FHA, was started in 1934, and we're going to ensure that you get your money because we're going to have the consumer pay an insurance policy. In 1934, that's when you got PMI, the forerunner to private mortgage insurance. This is what got the banks lending again. And when all of this thing got started, there was not enough money to lend out. So years later, that Fannie Mae was created so that we could package up the loans and then sell them as securities on the stock market. And that's where the rest of the money comes from to be able to provide money for loans. Fannie Mae. All right, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. See, there's a whole history on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, where this money comes from to lend out so that you can get a mortgage. But we can learn the history of that. But the very thing that we need to know is, why are we paying so much interest on these loans, and how can we stop? That's what we're getting into. So if you're new to the room, let's go ahead. I'm going to put it back on the screen here so that you can read the story, so that you can read it for yourself. All right. Let's see here. You can read the story of this. Let me put this on the screen. Let me see if it's still, there it is. I'm putting it back on. Okay. I'm putting it back on. There you go, folks. That is a very good history of it, of how loans got going in this economy. So now let's get into it a little bit deeper. Amortized interest is deceptive. Okay, amortized interest is deceptive. Go ahead, start pinging some people into the room. The shares don't work. Ping some more people in. Here's what I mean by amortized interest is deceptive. The interest rate you're quoted, it's not the interest rate you pay. Stop making decisions based on interest rate. This is the deceptive part of the formula. We see an interest rate, but we don't know why we like one interest rate over the other interest rate. All we know is that we have been conditioned to try to get a low interest rate. And remember what I told you at the top of this hour. Your parents and your grandparents, some of you noticed or heard the story that they actually paid off their mortgage. And when you find out what their interest rate was, it will be somewhere between 8 and 12%. At one point, interest rates got as high as 20%. We're going to get into why those interest rates, the higher interest rates, are actually made it easier for your parents and your grandparents to pay off their mortgages at the higher interest rates. Once you understand how all of this works, here's the thing that you need to know. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you pay. And here's what I mean. Some of you would give your left arm right now to have a 3% loan on your mortgage right now. If you're getting a house today, you're going to pay somewhere between 5 and 7% on the interest rate. And people are backing out of buying a home because the interest rates, according to you, are really high. Well, let me tell you something. Here's 3% on 30 years. If you want to see this, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and search P.I.L.L method, and you can see what I'm putting on the screen right now. A $500,000 mortgage at 3%. The bank wants, in 30 years, the bank wants $258,887. That's it. On a $500,000 loan, the bank wants $258,887.20. That's how much interest they want. Folks, does that sound like to you, if I borrow $500,000 at 3%, does that $258,000, does that sound like, feel like 3% of $500,000? Well, it's not. It's 51.777%. All 3% mortgages for 30 years are 51% loans. They're almost 52%. So the interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you end up paying. That's what amortization does. So your true cost on these loans, your true cost is how much you negotiated for the price of the loan plus how much interest you add to that loan. So the true cost of this house is not $500,000. The true cost of this house is $758,000 because most of you will never pay it off because that is how it's designed. How does that make you feel this morning? Do you want to know, should it be part of our curriculum to understand how these loans actually work, how they get 3% to get to 51%? We've never had the class. Folks, the reason why we're in the financial situation we're in, I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. It is not because you've been irresponsible with your money or with borrowing. The reason most of us are in the financial situation we're in is because of lack of education on how the system works. It is not your fault. In fact, most of us have followed the advice of the financial experts. That's why we're in the shape we're in. Actually following the advice, thinking it's getting us to where we need to go. It's not getting us there because we're following it. It's the information that we're getting, folks, has nothing to do with how loans actually work. Oh, you need to see this. If you think 3% is bad, watch what happens at 4%. Now the bank wants $359,348 at 4%. That's 71.87% of the money you borrowed. 71%. That's what amortization does. It turns a 4% loan into a 71% loan. 71.8, almost 72%. Well, at 5%, there we go. Now the bank wants $466,279.60. That's 93. That's 93% of what you borrowed. So your true cost on this loan is $966,270, nearly $1 million that they want you to pay for this home when you borrow the money at 5%. And why are people paying all of that? Because they don't understand it. I'm giving you the history here. We're getting into why this works, what's really going on behind the scenes before we can understand what to do about it. And I'm telling you, folks, they're not teaching this in any college course right now. The only place you're going to get this is right here. The only place you're going to get this is from my book. And then you have to have the right tools to deal with it. When we get into the explanation of this, please don't believe that this is all there is to it. We have simplified a very complicated system. It sounds easy when I explain it, but it is very complicated to implement, to come up with a plan to pay the least amount of interest that you possibly can, that's mathematically possible for you. Please do not do this. Do not come to us and ask us, what is the one day on the month and the one amount that I need to pay to save all of this interest? The answer is, I don't know, because it doesn't exist. When you're optimizing something, you're looking for the right amount in the right month, on the right day of the month, attacking the right loan to come up with how much the most amount of interest you can eliminate from your loan. It is a very complicated process. It takes a ton of math. That's why we have computers that do the math for you. Let's see what 6% does. 6%, Lord have mercy. 6%. You have 115.838%. You got to pay back $579,190 in interest on a $500,000 loan. At 6%, your true cost on this mortgage now, on this house, is over $1 million because of the interest rate. If you're in Bermuda, if you're in Jamaica, look at what they want to do to you now. Jamaica, their interest rates are over 9%. In Bermuda, they've been hovering around 7% for years, and they're probably higher now. But at 7%, Now the bank wants 139% of what you borrowed, $697,543.60 to borrow that kind of money. Doggone it, that's high. So do I have oh look, credit goddess, you know not to be in here that long and let me go without recognizing you. You know you should interrupt
You
me.
were on a roll, Don. I didn't want to
Oh
interrupt.
Lord. Come on, girl. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Super
I'm
Bowl
excited
Sunday.
about today.
All right.
Yes.
So listen, tell the folks what you're doing and tell them how important the work that you're doing, all right, and helping people to understand why we need to understand the inner workings of all of this. We just can't understand how to get the good credit without understanding how credit is constructed. Talk to us this morning.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, let me introduce myself. For those that don't know me, my name is Rosa Laura Lewis, also known as Credit Goddess. I am all things credit, credit score improvement strategist, business credit coach, and also a NAV business loan broker. I help my clients get in the best position so that way they can qualify for funding. And funding to purchase your first car, purchase your first home, get into real estate investing, start your own business. Credit is so, so, so important. And like Don was just asking me to allude to, why you need to understand how the inner workings of credit and how it's calculated, because it's really not about the score. If we separate the two, your credit profile and your credit scores, they are not from the credit reporting agencies, if you get what I'm saying. The credit reporting agencies provide a report to the lenders and even to yourself to know, who you're in relationship with in terms of financing, whether it's your credit card company, your lending company, whoever extended credit to you to get the things that you need right now. It comes in the form of a credit profile or credit report. It's like your financial resume. But for lenders and creditors, if you're wanting to do more business or you wanted to get into business with a financial institution, the credit score, which is a totally separate entity, the credit scores just help creditors and lenders identify the type of person or the type of borrower that you are, and it comes in a form of a credit score. The higher the credit score, the more that it tells them that you're responsible, you're disciplined, you've been in the game long enough. Especially if you're above a 700, it shows that you've been in the credit game for at least 5 years.
So so
Solid.
so credit
Okay.
so
Yes.
credit goddess,
Yes.
we need folks to understand that what you've just explained
Hmm.
is something that distracts us from the truth of the matter.
Yes, it does.
It's a distraction, folks. So
Hmm.
if you're so focused on getting the credit score so that you can get the credit, but you never get to understand how it is built, you
Yes.
don't know how it's hurting you or how you can help yourself by understanding how it's all put together. So,
Absolutely.
so if you're focused here, you're not focused on how to disrupt their plan so you can pay less. Am I talking about it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how many times I would get someone, because I'm a broker. I help clients get funding. And when people come to me and say, "Hey, I have a 700 credit score," I still have to look into your profile. I will submit your application to a lender along with your credit report, or they'll do a soft pull and it comes back denied with a 700 credit score. And I have to explain to them that you don't have solid credit, or sometimes you can have a 700 credit score with just two credit cards, but they're not major credit cards. A lot of people tend to focus on, oh, well, I don't want to apply for another credit card because I don't want an inquiry, or I don't want my score to drop. So that prevents them from building because they so focus on a score. They don't want to lose a point when it's going to go up and down. But the focus that you guys need to focus on is building. Yes, your score is going to drop, and it's not just through the inquiry, it's also the re-aging of your credit profile. You went from 6 years of solid credit. 6 years ago is when you last applied for credit, and then you go get a new credit card today, and it drops you from 6 years to now 3 years or 2 years, especially if you apply for multiple accounts, because you heard on Clubhouse you can go and get approved with Truist, so you can go get approved with Key Bank or Navy Federal. So you want those lines of credit, and your score would drop because that 15% makes up 82.5, and your score would drop because of the re-age. But I tell people, don't focus so much on a score. It's just for creditors and lenders to identify who you are. They're still going to pull your credit profile to see why it made up that score. So you can get approved with a 680, while someone get denied for with a 720 because they gotten so many new accounts within the last 6 months. We have to wait for those to age. It's so many different factors. I just like to tell people, just jump on a call with me so we can have this this conversation, instead of you trying to figure it out, or you're not making a move because you're scared. And that alone, what you just said, is what's causing a lot of people not to make move, because they don't know how the whole system works.
Listen, folks, I'm an interest cancellation expert. Okay. I'm an interest cancellation expert. I'm an expert on how not to pay all of that interest. I am not a credit improvement expert. This is why I am a client of Credit Goddess. So, I enlist her services because she does what she needs to do. And Credit Goddess, I have a job for you.
Ooh, what is that?
Yeah. My wife has something on her credit report that's not hers.
Ooh, I like that.
So please let's get in touch today so I can, we can give that to you and that you can handle that for us. We'd appreciate that very much. See, folks, I have an idea of what to do. But why do I have to use trial and error to know what to do when Credit Goddess, who is the expert, who knows how to get that off, and because I can get it off and make so many mistakes while getting it off. You know what some people do? I'm going to do this one thing and then I'll get back to what we were talking about before. Some of you are going to go online, and then when you go online, you're going to go to TransUnion, because I think that's where this thing comes from. We're going to go to TransUnion, and you're going to apply to get that thing taken off online. Credit Goddess, will you please tell us why I don't want to go online to do that?
Because you will waive your rights to arbitration if they are indeed reporting it inaccurately. You cannot take that through arbitration, meaning like you can't sue them. Because once they do their verification process, it is what it is, right? So when you send it by letter, what you're doing is that you're creating a paper trail. So if they are indeed reporting something inaccurately, you can take the letters that you sent out, and the fact that they did not abide by the law, you can take that and take it to a consumer attorney, and they will take it on from there, where they will sue on your behalf if you can find a violation of the law, the FCRA, and you can have them, take it on from there, sue them, and you can win money.
Wow.
$1,000 per occurrence. Yes.
So what they're trying to do by you going online, okay, they're saying, I'm trying not to get sued here. So by you going online and not reading everything, okay, to get it done online, you are literally signing away your rights to do that. And folks, there's a lot more than that I don't have time to learn. I want this off my wife's credit like yesterday. And listen, if I spend as much time as Credit Goddess I would learn it myself. But why? So Credit Goddess, that's why you're on board, to take care of that for me, because you have the knowledge, you have the time put in. So folks, Credit Goddess, I'm glad that you're here today. And folks, if you have any questions even about credit, from this standpoint, please ask. But I'm going to jump right back into here so people can understand why we don't understand how the credit system works, how they make their money, and how it has been kept out of the educational system for years to this year. This year is the 89th year that this system has been in place, and the 89th year it has not appeared in our financial education. How could you know if it hasn't been taught to you? How could you know if the experts that you're talking to don't even know? Dave Ramsey is not teaching it. Susie Orman is not teaching this. You're only getting this information from the P.I.L.L method. All right. And we're going to make sure that you get this information over, and we're going to keep pounding it until people actually realize we never had that education and we need it. Okay. So let's get back into this. So here's what you need to see right now, folks. I'm going to put up an example of one of these loans. All right. And you need to see what's going on here. Here's a $300,000 loan. All right. $300,000. And here's how it's going to break down. At 4.25%, here's what you're going to learn. Your payment is going to be $1,062.50. Your very first month that you on this loan, the amount of principal that comes out of that $1,000 is only $413.32. Yeah. You're paying $1,062.50, but only $413.32 goes to pay down the loan. So in the first year, if you add up all your interest payments for the first year, you're going to pay the bank $12,652.24 just in interest, because we're not paying attention to the interest cost. We were only paying attention to the interest rate and our payment. Okay. So in the first 10 years, wait, I take that back. All right. I take that back. In the first month, you pay $1,062.50 in interest. $1,062 in interest and $413 in principal. So your payment of $1,400, over $1,400, only $413 goes to principal. $1,062.50 goes to interest. How terrible is that? Okay. So in the first year, you pay $12,652 in interest. In the first 10 years, listen to this. In the first 10 years on this loan, you borrowed $300,000, but in the first 10 years, you pay $115,428 in interest on this loan. 115, over one third of what you borrowed, you've already paid in interest on this loan. Folks, that's an average of $962 a month. Do you want to keep paying this kind of money just to purchase your home? Because you're not a home owner, you're a home buyer. When you pay that last mortgage payment, now you're a homeowner. But until you do that, you're a home buyer. All right. So at 10 years, in 10 years, you also pay $61,670 towards the principal. You're actually paying back only $61,670 of what you owe. The rest went to interest. So that's a total paid out in the first 10 years on this loan, a total of $177,098.40. Out of that $177,098.40, only $61,000 went to pay back the loan. The rest went to the bank. You're paying extra money to purchase your home, and we lose sight of it because we spend no time understanding how all of this works. None. And we need to. So I'm getting ready to get into some of the basics of understanding how to disrupt the bank's system so that you don't have to pay them all of that interest. All right. We're going to understand what prepayment of principal amounts really means, but I can't tell you until I see some number 9s in the chat. I want to know that you're listening. we're getting into what you've been waiting for, understanding what's really going on and how to disrupt their timing so that you can pay less interest. All right. Miss Cola says she puts in the nines. Malcolm says, I want to know. I want to know. Listen, if you want to see this, even Blake Rogers from got a Facebook user saying number 9. I got Blake Rogers here on watching us on YouTube says number 9. All right. I got Cindy says 9. Shalani Colin says, oh, look at their number and got some flames and some power. I need you to guys to focus in here because all the information you've ever needed was in the mortgage documents. They're required to give it to you, but they're not required to explain it to you. Okay, Sheila. Look, I got her. She spelled her. She gave me the phonetic spelling of her name, and I'm going to try it now. Shalani, long A. Oh, come on, Shalani. Did I get it right? She said that's right. All right, Shalani. Don't forgive me if I mess it up again. Because I just get so excited about this information. She says, amen on this glorious Sunday. Let's get it. All right. Figures. All right. So here we go, folks. I need you to see this because this is in your mortgage papers right here. Right. This one right here. So watch us on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Clubhouse. Follow Credit Goddess on Clubhouse. And Credit Goddess, before I get into this, you also have a house, don't you? Credit Goddess, are you still with us? If you're still with,
yes, I am.
All right. Do you have a house now?
I sure do.
All right. Because the P.I.L.L Method has a house now, and I need you to join the P.I.L.L Method house because we're all switching over to houses, aren't we?
We are switching over to houses. They do want us to focus on building a community.
Yes.
And that is a great way to do so.
All right. So we're going to go switching over to house, but tell us the name of your house.
The name of my house is called CREAM, which stands for Credit Rules Everything Around Me. CREAM, get the money. Okay, you already know the rest. Dollar bill. So I not only teach about credit, but I'm teaching a community of building credible people, because if we're talking about credibility is not just about your finances, but it's about you being a credible person. A lot of times we have this mistrust with one another is because we're not taking time to build relationships, right? What are the steps of building a relationship is when two people are coming together to see how they can benefit from one another and build a profitable relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's intimate, whether it's friendship, whether it's business. And so when we're talking about building a community of like-minded people, it's because we all share the same sentiment. So that's what CREAM is all about. You guys can join it. I have a Q&A room that I host on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours. So you got to be there, be square, because there are no replays. Okay. So you got to be in the spot to get the information. And on Saturdays, I have CREAM Money Stream Saturday, where I talk about different ways that you can add additional streams of income into your current active income, because we got to be making more money. They say 7 streams of income is necessary. It's now 8. Okay. So we have to find ways to bring in additional income. So I share 2 affiliate programs you guys can tap into, and then also accompany that with Chat GPT. And then I may have my colleague come in and teach you how to build a website so we can start a business and bring in some money. So anything that you guys need, I will provide it for you. You just gotta engage with me, because I don't want to just give out all the information and not know if this is right for you or not. So my community is all about engagement, so we can help one another and share resources. So definitely tap on my picture, scroll down to the house, and click CREAM and join the waitlist.
All right, folks, let's get back into it. I just Malcolm raised his hand to come on up. So Malcolm, let's see if we can get you to come out on stage. So folks, here's what you need to understand. All right, watch this on YouTube. I see that Blake Rogers says on YouTube, he pretty much follows us every day. Thank you. Appreciate that. Lisa Carter says, we got Facebook user that says, gives me 2 9s. We got Lisa Carter that gives us 3 9s. All right. Thank you, Lisa. And Blake Rogers gave us another 9. So folks, these are all online. These are the folks that are online. So if you want to see what we have here, go on to YouTube and subscribe and watch what we put on the screen here. Here's your borrower's right to prepay. It starts here. It starts here. And this is written into your contract. And I'm telling you, folks, people will ask me after a presentation, they'll say, Don, can we really do this? I'm saying, this is what it says. It's your right to prepay. I didn't make up this title. The title is even in your mortgage papers. This is your right. So we're going to teach you how to exercise your right and what it means. Okay. I have the right to make payments of principal at any time before they are due. A payment of principal only is known as a prepayment, meaning once you make your whole mortgage payment, any amount of money you put on after you make a mortgage payment will go to principal. Okay. And when you put money on principal, you're paying back the loan on your own terms, on your own timing, and the amount of interest that you can save with just a small amount of money is tremendous. So much so that not even the people who sold you your loan are taught how a loan actually works, because if they knew, they would let it out that by paying this much money, you could save this much interest, a ton of interest, by making a prepayment of this much. The reason why they don't know, and the reason why you don't know, it's left out of our curriculum. It's left out of our financial education. If you, the true understanding of financial literacy in this case is understanding how loans work and how to disrupt the bank's timing. When you pay the bank back according to their timing, it's going to cost you a ton. But when you can manipulate the timing, you save at the same rate they're charging you. Watch this. Second paragraph. When I make a prepayment, I will tell the note holder in writing, or you will inform the note holder in the way that they want to be informed, that you are paying extra on your loan. You're giving them over and above what they have asked for. Okay. So now here's the reason why we do this. Here's the reason why we do this. Anytime you give the bank money, you want to know what you're getting for it. And they have taught us to ignore the fact that we don't know how much interest and how much time we're saving if we even give them an extra $10 or an extra $100 or an extra $500. By putting any amount extra on your loan, they do not send you a receipt that says, here's how much interest you just saved. They don't send you that receipt. What? No. They don't send you a receipt. And do you know what? All of you that have ever paid extra on a loan, if this is the first time you're hearing me, this is the first time you've ever thought about this, and I'm going to say it to you right now. It's never even occurred to you to ask how much interest you just saved for that extra amount of money you just gave the bank. It never even occurred to you to ask. Why? Because we didn't know we could ask. Why? Because if you did ask and they didn't tell you, it's not because they're trying to hide it from you. It's because the very people that you're asking, they don't know how to answer your question. Some of you are going to call your bank on Monday and say, if I do what I just learned, How much interest will I save? And the person you're talking to on the other end of the phone, I don't care how many people they pass it off to, they don't have the computer set up so that when you pay an extra $100, they don't have their computer system set up so they can tell you exactly to the penny how much interest you just saved. What kind of mess is that? If you were to go, some of you are going to go to some of the President's Day sale to get a new mattress or something. And at the bottom of the receipt, they're going to tell you how much you saved by purchasing it on sale. What if the mattress company can tell you? If your department store can tell you how much money you saved, your bank certainly could tell you how much money you saved if they were set up in order to tell you, but they're purposely not set up to tell you how much interest you save. Because it's amazing how much interest you save. Let's get into it. All right. So when you make a full prepayment, that means paying off the entire loan, or partial prepayments, you can do all of that without paying any prepayment charge. There's no charge to do this. It's free. You can save money and it's free. There's no charge for it. Even if there is, we don't care. All right. I know some of you are going to ask me about prepayment penalties, but there are times when you even want a prepayment penalty once you understand what's happening here. If you want to know more about this, I'm going to give you some information in just a second. After this third paragraph, the note holder, this is the most important paragraph. I need you to focus in on this. The note holder will use all of my prepayments. How much of your prepayments? All of my prepayments to reduce the amount of principal that I owe under this note. The principal is used to calculate how much interest you owe on any one payment. So if you can put money on principal, then you lower the amount that you owe, which means it makes it impossible for them to charge you all the interest that they wanted to charge you. Now, Don, listen, can $25 really make that much difference to me, or an extra $100 make that much difference to me? You better believe it can. And once you know how much it can help you, it changes the game. This is why your real estate agent was never taught how a loan actually works. This is why your loan officer was never taught how a loan actually works, or your CPA, or even your financial planner. None of them were taught how a loan actually works because of this reason. So the note holder will use all of my prepayments to reduce the amount of principal that I owe under this note. If I make a partial prepayment, watch this. If I make a partial prepayment, there will be no changes in the due date or the amount of my monthly payment unless the note holder agrees in writing to those changes. So folks, because of the fact that there are no changes, just that one sentence right there, they can't recoup the amount of interest you just saved because they can't change the payment amount, which is different from your car payment. I want to show you the difference right here. When you pay extra on your car payment, have you ever received a notice the next month that your minimum payment has now been reduced? They don't have this clause in your car payment. They can lower the amount of the payment that you make on your car payment the next month because now they're trying to recover the amount of interest you just saved. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it on your car payment. They want you to pay less the next month so they can recover the amount of interest so you can get back on track. But when you do this on your mortgage, watch this now, they can't make a change in the monthly payment to try to recover the interest. So why doesn't anybody ever tell you what this means? because once you find out what can happen, it is tremendous. Here we go, folks. Here's what we're going to start learning how to read an amortization schedule right now. Right now, you get to learn how to read it. I'm going to use a $200,000 mortgage at 6%. Here's the payment. It's a $1199.10 for 360 months. Here's how much interest they want. $231,676 for 360 payments. So they want you to pay $431,676 for your $200,000 house, which means this: total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 115.838%. You're actually paying more in interest than you borrowed in principal. Now, my clients will not make 360 payments. They're only going to make about 90 payments because our computer system tells them exactly what to do. But here are the basics that our computer system actually uses. Here is that very first payment. $199.10 goes to principal. $1,000 goes to interest. When you make your first payment, let's call it January. You make your first payment in January, $199.10 is subtracted from what you owe. And you pay, and now you pay $1,000 in interest, and what's left is $199,800.90. That's what's left. And because of what's left, then the bank uses that number, the $199,800.90, to figure out how much interest you pay on line 2. This is how they do it. Okay. So because your next month, you owe less now, your next month's interest payment is $999 instead of $1,000 because of what you owe on line 1, $199,800.90. Now, here's what you just learned. If we do this, if we make our next month's payment, they will subtract $200.10 from what we owe. We'll pay $999 in interest, and then we're left with $199,600.80. Because that we're left with that on line 2, now they'll do another calculation so that they'll figure out how much interest we would pay on line 3, which would be the payment for March, $998. That's how it works. Let me tell you how easy it is to disrupt this. Okay? Listen, I would love to talk to somebody about this. Malcolm, how are you doing, sir? Malcolm.
I'm doing well on this Sunday.
All right. Are you out and about?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So why did you want to come to the stage?
Just to thank Credit Goddess for the past 3 days that she's been going in, dropping dimes, giving hints, links, everything. It's just she's been great to the platform on all levels and all platforms that she's on. She's a real jewel.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Malcolm. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Malcolm, for coming to the stage. All right, folks, listen. Here's what you need to know. Let's make January's payment number 1. We just made payment number 1. All right. And then when we made payment number 1, we're paid down to the principal payment on line 1. Okay. Now, if we're made January's payment, we can actually see February's principal payment. February's principal payment is $200.10. And here's the question. Listen in, lean in. Do you have to wait? This is not my program. This is helping you to understand what the bank is doing to us because of us not being educated on how a loan works. Okay. So you made January's payment. You can see February's payment. And here's my question. Do you have to wait till February to give the bank that $200.10? Do you have to wait till February to give the bank that $200.10? Okay. Brenda Jackson says no. Cindy says, how can I get into the house there there is a wait list. Oh, you just yes. Go ahead and put your name into the wait list, Cindy, and someone will let you in. Okay. All houses seem to have wait lists, and I'm a new clubhouse, so I don't have to. Oh no, yeah, no, you don't have to be invited. Even if you're invited, you still have to go through the wait list. Okay. So go ahead, put yourself on the wait list. We'll let you in a little bit later. Okay. So, folks, here's what you also need to know. All right. I don't have to wait to give the bank that $200.10. I don't have to wait till February. Let's say you choose to give the bank that $200.10 based on what you just read a little while ago. The bank has to accept that and apply it to principal even in January, which means you're paid down to line 2 in January. What? Yes, you're paid down to line 2 in January. If you're paid down to line 2 in January, then the bank has to use the new line, the line 2, to figure out how much interest you owe next month. So for February, you're going to pay the $998 in interest and the $201.10 for February's payment. In other words, the payment for March moves up one. You just eliminated line 2 from this amortization schedule for only $200.10, not the $1,200 they were looking for. If you think that this is valuable information, I need you to put a number 8 in the chat. Put a number 8 in the chat if you think this is valuable. By paying the $200.10 early, I eliminate line 2 from my mortgage. I don't have to pay that. And I drop down to line 3. Okay. All right, Mr. Oh, Junior, Mr. All right, Brenda put several 8s in there. But here's the next thing you need to know, folks. Do you see this $999 on line 2? What happened to that $999 if we drop down to the $998? What happened to that $999? Does anybody know? Are you ready to see? There it is. Brenda Jackson said it goes away. Folks, it goes away. You just eliminated the $999. The $999 that they wanted to charge you, you just saved it by paying the $200.10 early. So you actually save at the same rate they're charging you. Do you see why? Real estate agents don't know this? Do you see why your loan officers don't know this? Your CPAs? Do you see why people, if you found out how little money it takes to kill $999 worth of interest, that's why you don't know. So, Shalani wants to know, I'm actually in the middle of purchasing a home. Shalay, okay. Thank you, babe. Shalani, okay. You actually, all right, here's what you want to do. All right, let's stop right here before folks have to go. All right, go to my at the top of the room, you see my digital business card. Click on that card right now. Click on the card right now, because we're going to do, listen, we got to do a reset. Click on the card right now, and you'll see a button. Save this information. You'll see a button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report. Shalani and anyone else who wants to know. She's in the middle of getting a home right now. Would you like to know the month, day, and year you could be debt-free on that home and how much interest you could save without disrupting your budget? And it is usually about 7 years instead of 30 without disrupting your budget. You can get a savings and earnings report, and you can know all of the information, how much interest you could save, and the month, day, and year you could be debt-free before you even close. Yeah, that part. Before you even close on this loan, you can know when you're going to be done. This is why the bank does not want you to know what I'm telling you today, is because your education, because of your miseducation, they make more money, even though you're getting a payment you can afford. But by understanding what prepayment actually does, it kills a ton of interest. So anybody who wants to know, please go to that card up above and look for the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report and fill out the information. Once you fill out the information, someone from my staff will give you a call. Once you put all of your financial information into the financial form, then we'll set up a consultation for you. And you can know the month, day, and year you're going to be debt free. We'll even show you what it means to have the interest you save to pay for your lifetime program. It's a one-time payment for life. The interest you save will pay for your program. And people usually save enough interest in the first 3 to 5 months that they're on this lifetime program to more than pay for their program. It is a tremendous. We've got people in here right now that are on our program, and they'll tell you that it's the best thing since sliced bread. Okay, tax deed. What, man? Tax deed? You're just sitting down there and not raising your hand. Lord have mercy. Invite you to speak. Get on up here, boy. Get on up here. Tax deed wolf in the house. Okay, man. Tell me, why didn't you raise your hand?
Man, Don, I just got in the room, man. Grand Rising, y'all. How y'all doing today?
All right, man. All right. Listen, we're breaking it down today. We're breaking it down how real estate investors are leaving a lot of money on the table. But I had to go through this long explanation as to the history of loans. So, Tax D Wolf, you know a lot about this, but have you ever had the history on why lending is done the way we do it in America?
I got a little. I remember a little bit of when certain things happen. Well, I don't remember. I was explained to this, but is it fresh in my mind? No.
Okay. All right. So, has anybody explained to you how an amortization schedule actually works and how you can, how easy it is not to pay all that interest?
Oh yeah. So I've had it. We chatted before. So
yeah,
I had it broken down to me, of course.
And that's what we're talking about today. So, do you know people who are using bank money in order to invest in their properties?
100%.
Okay. All right. So now this is what we're talking about today. How to lower your cost, how to lower expenses on using money to get equity. All right. That's what we're talking about today. All right. So Tax D Wolf. All right. Go ahead and quickly tell the folks who you are and what you do, because now I'm going to get into the good part.
For sure. Grand Rising, everybody. Tax D Wolf. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm in this truck right now, but specialize in tax sale. When people don't pay their property taxes, I come in and get property for literally pennies on a dollar. Some examples of that, $1,900, $500, $3,000. We were able to purchase property, not only land, y'all, actual structures on the land. So getting these properties for dirt cheap, and then cash flowing them, rehabbing, cash flowing, doing all sorts of awesome strategies, multifamily, anything that makes sense. The BRRRR, seller finance, wholesale, anything that really makes sense. We are doing a heck of a lot of it. But that's me. I'm currently in Orlando, Florida this week, but just moved to Puerto Rico. So whenever y'all come through to the island, y'all definitely got to let me know. And retired nurse at 29, y'all. So I'm just out here full-time entrepreneur, living the life that the Most High put me on this earth to live.
All right. Thank you for that, folks. All right. Thank you for that, Tax D Wolf. Now, folks, we're getting into the final half hour here. You're listening to the P.I.L.L method in the mortgage syndicate this morning. If you're not a member of the mortgage syndicate, go ahead and press the green mansion at the top and join. If you're not a member of the P.I.L.L Method club, click on my bio and join the P.I.L.L Method club, and also join our house. It has a waiting list, so go ahead and click on it, and I'll let you in today. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I need you to see this. If you make a mortgage payment in January, all right, and you're looking at the amortization schedule, and you see the next three principal payments, you attack the loan with the principal payments. You see the next three principal payments, $200.10, $201.10, $202.10. Do you see that if you prepay that along with your mortgage payment, that's $603.30. I need you to also see that you just eliminated nearly $3,000 in interest and three payments you never have to make. And so your next payment is on line 5 of your amortization schedule, and you just saved $3,000. That's how powerful this is. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we need to focus on in all of this we were trying to tell you, is you need to focus on the interest cost and how to eliminate it, not the interest rate, but the interest cost. Who's doing the math for you? So you can always know the interest cost and the best way to eliminate interest costs. That's what we do here at the P.I.L.L Method. So let me show you what the banks don't want you to know. And this example is called the power of the penny. I need you to know how powerful your pennies are. This is why I pick up pennies in the parking lot. Is everybody ready for this? Let me check to see if there are any. All right. So Lainey says she's got to go, but she can get the rest of the information after church. Okay, everybody's ready. So here's what we're looking at, folks. $200 prepaid saves us about $1,000 in interest, which means if we didn't have that $200, what if we only have half of that? $100 would save you $500 in interest. Joseph, let me ask you a question. If you knew that $100 placed on your mortgage the right way would save you $500 in interest, would that be worth it?
Definitely.
Okay. What if you didn't have $100? What if you only had 50 and knew that it could save you $250 in interest you never have to pay?
Still worth it.
All right. Let's keep cutting that in half. We're cutting it in half to $25, to $12.50, to $6.25, all the way down to $3.13. You pay $3.13 on this mortgage. It makes it impossible for the bank to charge you $18.75 in interest for $3.13. Folks, if you gave me $3.13 and I gave you back $18.17, how many times would you do that? When we don't know how these loans work, we have no idea how to defeat them, and everything that we've been told is wrong. Everything we've been told is wrong on how these things work. So if we can listen, if you want to see what we're doing here, you want to go to YouTube, search P.I.L.L Method on a different device, and you can see the examples I'm putting on the screen. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on Twitter. You can see it on LinkedIn. You can see these examples. And I have $1.56 here. Oh, listen, you don't need a lot of money. This is why the banks don't want you to know this. You don't need a lot of money to save a lot of interest. Even $1.56 applied to this mortgage in the right place at the right time would save you $9.38 in interest. Joseph, he had to go. How powerful is that? It goes all the way down to 1 penny, folks. If I prepay 1 penny on this loan, it saves me 7 cents in interest. That's why I pick up pennies in the parking lot. That's why it is so powerful. I'm getting ready to change screens here because I promised to show, if you had this basic information, what you could do even at 18% interest rate, because somebody asked that earlier today. And if they're only making 10% profit, They're only making 10% profit. How can they make money if their interest rate is 18%? Does anybody want to know? If you're only making 10% profit, how can you make money on a loan that's charging you 18%? If you want to know, put an 18 in the chat. Put 18 in the chat if you want to know how you can make 18% interest work for you if you understand the basics of what I told you today as a real estate investor. I want to see 18 in the chat if you want to see how you can make money even at 18% today. Oh, okay. I guess nobody wants to know because I'm not seeing it. Oh, here they come. Steve Mack put it in there. Steve Mack said, I'm putting 18 in there, putting 18 in the chat. So let's get out of this. You've learned something about about what is happening with this. I'm going to bring this over here, and you are now going to see what is going on with this 18% loan. All right. So watch this, folks. Watch this. Here is a $200,000 loan. Here's a $200,000 dollar loan. This is a real estate investor. This is a multifamily property. Multifamily. What's the YouTube link? Go to the P.I.L.L Method channel. Search P.I.L.L Method channel. Okay. Search P.I.L.L Method channel on YouTube, and it'll take you there. Search for P.I.L.L Method, and you'll be able to see it. All right. And Malcolm, if you're out and about, then you may have to leave Clubhouse, but you can watch and hear if you're not at home on YouTube. All right. So here's what we're talking about, folks. $200,000 mortgage at 18%. The payment is $3,014.18. But because it's a multifamily home, this real estate investor is bringing in $6,000 a month. Bringing in $6,000 a month, the payment is $3,014.18. So, according to you, is that good enough? Is that pretty good cash flow? Huh? Anybody? Is that pretty good cash flow if I am bringing in $6,000 and I'm paying out $3,014? Okay, let's see if we can get Lofty to come up. Because I'm pointing out here. So now, here, that's our payment. Now, the this particular investor is putting $2,000 towards reinvesting. All right, remember, they're bringing in $6,000. The interest rate is 18%. All right, and because of that, the $2,000 is going back into investing into their properties. And what else is happening? And $985.82. That's 16% of what they're bringing in. They're putting that away for repairs and maintenance. Repairs and maintenance. Lofty, how are you doing today? I don't know. I don't know if you can speak to us or you're just here to support. There you go.
Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Lofty, listen, man. I've got a few minutes left in this 2 hours, and I promise to let people know if I teach them the basics, how real estate investors, even at 8, because somebody asked, how can I make money if my profit is 10%? How can I make money? How can I make money on this property at an 18% interest rate? And so we're going to show them today. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. So we've got $2,000 going to other expenses, or that's our money to reinvest. But we're putting $985.82 every month away so that we can do repairs and maintenance when we need to on this multifamily building. Let me show you how this breaks down. Here's how much interest the bank wants on this loan. $884,974. That's how much interest they want for 30 years on a $200,000 loan. $884,000. That's a lot. I'm going to show this real estate investor how they're only going to pay $172,021 instead. Whoa, $172,000. Now, I'm going to help you to understand what effective interest rate really means. Because the bank wants 884,000, but they're only going to get 172,000, what would the interest rate have to be for this real estate investor to pay a 30-year loan and only pay 172,000? It would have to be, let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. I'm going to zoom in here, zoom in, and I need you to read this. You would need an interest rate of 4.67% to pay this little amount of interest on a new 30-year loan. With the P.I.L.L method and what we understand of what you could do, you can make an 18% loan perform like it was 4.67% when you understand what to do, which means that's an 81% reduction on how much interest the bank can charge. So that's $712,953 in interest this real estate investor won't have to pay, even though they have an 18% mortgage. And because they're paying so little interest, for 172,000, instead of paying this off in 30 years, look at this, instead of paying it off in 30 years, they're going to be done in what? 7.8 years. They're going to cut off 22.2 years. If you're a real estate investor and you can get equity that fast, that cheap, because you are cutting out 82% of the interest that the bank wanted you to pay, you can now take that money that you don't have to pay the bank, and over the next 22 years, look at this number, turn it into additional earnings for you and your family of $1,190,000 by investing that money into yourself instead of giving it to the bank. And you'll be surprised to know this is at a 1% return on your money. Oh, what if you are making more than 1% return on your money? It would be more than $1 million, wouldn't it? This is how powerful this information is. Once you understand how a loan actually works, real estate investors, you're leaving too much money on the table by not understanding how the history behind it and the rules behind it. Once you know the rules, you do not have to pay the bank all of that interest. Now, some of you may want to see why it is important to learn how to read an amortization schedule. You may want to see that. I'm going to put the 18% mortgage into an amortization schedule so that you can see what I see when I'm figuring this thing out. Okay? So let's bring this over here. We're putting the $200,000 mortgage in. Okay? We're putting the $200,000 mortgage in, $200,000 at 18%. And you'll get to see what's going on. And now that you know how to read it, it won't be so shocking to you. In fact, because you learned how to read it, you're going to say, oh my gosh, we did not know what a favorable position we were in because we had to take this higher interest rate, Lofty. Okay, Malcolm, Credit Goddess. I'm scrolling down here. I need everybody to see. If you don't know what you're seeing, if you don't know what you're looking at, this could be frightening. $14.17 out of that payment goes to principal and only $3,000 goes to interest. Your payment on this, like I said before, is $3,014.17. If we let the bank get away with it without understanding how this works, I need you to see that $14.17 is only going to principal while $3,000 goes to interest. The next month, $14.38 goes to principal, and $2,999.79 goes to interest. If you did not know how to read this, would this scare you? I need somebody to come to the stage. I need somebody to put in the chat why this particular configuration, what they could do once they understand how to read this. How do we get rid of these interest payments? Somebody talk to me. Somebody put it in the chat. What do you have to do? If I make payment number 1, how do I get rid of the interest on payment number 2? Somebody come to the stage or put it in the chat and tell me how it's done. Does anybody know? All right, let me see here. Pay more on payment number 1. How much more, Lasagna? How much more? Were you here at the beginning? Were you here at the beginning? How we get rid of that? What do we have to do to get rid of? Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me show you, Lasagna. Let me show you. All they have to do is pay an additional $14.38. $14.38. Brenda Jackson said $14.38 to get rid of $2,999.79 worth of interest you don't have to pay and eliminate one line from this mortgage. Do you see? Once you know how to read this thing, even the higher interest rates can work for you if you know how to read it. Interest payments you skip don't matter. Interest payments you skip don't matter. And if I have this, I can listen. If I add up all the principal payments for 1 year, I need you to see something. All the interest payments for 1 year, it comes to $184.79 at 18% interest. How much interest does the bank want in 1 year? $35,985.25. So, folks, here's what you need to know. If you're a real estate investor, we're leaving a lot of money on the table because we don't know how to read an amortization schedule. I need to go back. I need to show you something. Remember how much money we were putting away each month into the fund that we're just setting aside in the bank to pay so that we can pay for repairs and maintenance. $985 a month, nearly $1,000 a month, nearly $1,000 a month that we're doing. So what if we were to do something about that? What if we were to do something about that? Use a little bit of that money. Let's say after a while we had about $10,000 saved up. Okay, we had about $10,000 saved up. Could we take an extra $1,000 out of that, out of our fund? We still have $9,000 for repairs, but if we take an extra, we take $1,000 out of that fund. Okay, watch this, folks. Watch this. I got about 10 months of money saved up, and I'm going to take out $1,000 and apply it to this loan. I need you to watch cumulative principal and cumulative interest here. Okay. And I'm going to show you what an extra $1,000 applied to this loan will do. It will take off 49 months. 49 months. That's 4 years and 1 month. An extra $1,000 applied to this loan will kill 49 months worth of payments and save a whopping $143,694.44. Folks, if that ain't exciting, I don't know what is. If that's not exciting, I don't know what is. Listen, put some number 9s in the chat. I need to see y'all going crazy. Extra $1,000. Do you see what it can do here? Do you see now? Do you see why now we need to ice our loans so that real estate professionals, people who are into real estate investing, can ice their profits? If I just take $1,000 out of my reserve fund, I can still invest the $2,000 I'm getting every month. I'm bringing in $6,000 on this multifamily, but I'm only paying out $3,000 a month in mortgages. Lofty, are you with us right now? I guess he's not. So, folks, does that make sense to you? Does that $1,000 extra can save $140,000 in interest? Now, here's what real estate people have been saying for years. If you're cash flowing, why do you care how much interest you're paying? Because your tenants are paying the rent. Credit Goddess, are you with us right now?
I am.
Okay. So here's my question. Have we been hearing since you've been on this app that if you're cash flowing, just let the tenant pay the mortgage for you, right?
Of course.
Okay.
It only makes sense.
It only makes sense. So let me ask you something. If I'm in the restaurant business, right?
Yeah.
I buy food so I can bring it to my restaurant and then prepare meals so I can sell the meals, correct?
Correct.
All right. So technically, aren't my patrons, my customers, aren't they paying for the food that I actually buy?
Yes.
But what if I carry that over, what real estate people are trying to tell me, that I shouldn't care about how much I'm paying for the food because my patrons are paying for the food.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't care about how much I'm paying for the food, will I stay in business?
No, you will not stay in business.
So I'm using the food to make money.
Yes.
I'm borrowing money from the bank to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is telling me I don't have to care about how much I'm paying in interest because my tenants are paying the bill.
No, I mean, isn't the whole point of saving money? Like, if we can save money on interest, that's what you want to put in your pocket.
So in other words, in 1 year, Credit Goddess, in 1 year, my tenants on this loan in 1 year have given me $36,000. My tenants gave me $36,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But out of that, I only get $184 in principal, which is $184 in equity, and I got to pay $35,985 in interest, even though every month they're paying me $6,000 a month on the front end, and I'm paying out $3,000 a month on the back end, and I still get to invest $2,000 a month. But if I pay attention not just to the front end of the loan, but the back end, how much of that money that they gave me that I could actually save some more, I can actually make more if I can get my equity cheaper. Doesn't it just make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So if I can take some money, if I'm taking that money, that $900 every month that my tenants are giving me, and I'm stacking it up for emergency purposes. Okay, so I've got some money stacked up. I've got it in the bank, and it's making me 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1% sitting in the bank. I just learned that I could take $1,000 of that money that's sitting in the bank, real estate investors, put it on this loan, and knock off 4 years worth of payments for every extra $1,000 I put on, and kill over $100,000 in interest I never have to pay. Do you see why I took so much time today to tell you the history of lending, gave you a link so you can read the history for yourself, and show you the fact that no one on YouTube, no one on Twitter, no one even on Amazon has written a book about this. The only place you're getting this, and Credit Goddess, listen, I know we have become friends on the app. We've met in person, I know we work together, but truthfully, in all the years you've been doing this, has anybody ever talked about what we're talking about in here?
Oh no. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Nope.
I've been doing this for 2 years. Is anybody else talking about this? Even after listen, we're coming up on 200 shows. This is show 196 that we've done on Clubhouse. Is anybody else talking about what we're talking about?
Nope.
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 Only in reference to us. You need to talk to ICE or Don or talk about the P.I.L.L method. So they are talking about it, but no one else is teaching it. This is the only game in town that's teaching it.
Nope. Nope.
So folks, listen, I got to get out of here. I want to thank you for being here today. All right. There are no questions but listen, I look for questions. I didn't see them. So Lasagna said, you have blessed me. Thank you, Lasagna. I truly appreciate that. All right. So she says, you still want the overflow. You still want overflow. I'm making money. She says, I want the overflow by not giving all of my money away to the bank just because I'm profiting on the front side. So Lasagna, if she also knows, Apostle Lasagna, she also knows that we should be laying up for laying up for an inheritance for our children's children, an inheritance for our children's children. And folks, you can't do that if you're spending the children's money on interest. Can you, Lasagna? You can't lay it up if you're spending the children's money on interest, and we need to stop. So folks, listen, if you want to know more about this, my link is at the top of the page. All right. So get your savings and earnings report done. Watch some of our other videos on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Join our house. Join Credit Goddess's house. All right. And we're going to get ready to get out of here. But I need you to hear, we're getting ready to play Dr. Eric Thomas. So because he did this, and then we're going to come back to say goodbye to you on Clubhouse. So listen up. Listen to what Dr. Eric Thomas has to say about the P.I.L.L method, and we'll come right back to say goodbye.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
All right, folks, go to ice10k.com and then get your savings and earnings report. Get my book today. And if you go to ICE, also go to ice10k.com, you can become an affiliate for free. Everybody that's online, everybody that's watching us on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. All right. We're going to say goodbye to you, but go to ice10k.com and we've got a lot of benefits in there for you. I want to say goodbye to everybody online, and we'll see you on Wednesday.